Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna go over my fall TBR. Um, some of the books you'll see are ones that are already on my September TBR. But the rest of them are all books I kind of want to either sprinkle in throughout the rest of the month or sprinkle in to the October TBR. There's some in here that I really want to read, or they give me vibes that would be perfect to read for fall. We're no longer in our beach read era. We're now going into our cozy fall reading era with some pumpkin spice coffee, lattes, pumpkin pancakes, pumpkin muffins, all of that good stuff. Everything pumpkin. Everything pumpkin is what we're into. So, these are all books that will definitely feed into that vibe and give me those cozy, warm ones. So let's get into it. So the first book I chose was Dare You to Hate Me. I haven't read this one yet. I just think it's a good fall like vibe. That's set in college. It's a college romance, and the main character is a football player. So I think that it's just like nice because everybody goes back to school in the fall, and football season's around the fall, like end of like beginning of winter time. So I think it's kind of nice, like especially getting into like college football. If you watch it, like very intense. Yeah. So I thought this was a good recommendation for fall. This one, I believe it has some like content warnings. I know like one of the characters is like homeless at one point and stuff like that, and they go through a lot, and I think that builds on their relationship. So, very be mindful of what you're getting into with this one. So this is the first one, Dare You to Hate Me. Then this is one that my sister-in-law picked for my September TBR, and it's The Only Purple House in Town. This one's set in like a small town, and it's this girl that has this house. I believe it's like an inn, and she lets people come stay with her. And one, it's the only purple house in town, but two, there's like the people that stay with her are like mythical creatures. Like if you could see on the cover, like each of the little windows has like a different little creature person in there. So it's about all these like people that are not human. They're like mythical creatures all living in this house together and stuff. I thought it was a cute little concept. When I bought it last year, I thought it was funny. It's a cute little like house too, the way it's like depicted. I think it gives very much like Victorian, old town. Like if you've ever seen Stranger Things in the last season that they did, that house that Vecna's in, that's where this reminded me of, and that's one of the reasons I picked it up. Also, it's purple, so why not? But yeah, this one's by Anne Aguilar. Don't know. The next one I picked up is What You're Gonna Do by Avery Flynn. I've had this one on my shelf for a while, so I'm really trying to get through this one this fall. But essentially, it's about a witch, and she's partnered up with this guy who's like just a rival for her. Like they have like this enemies thing, so it very much feeds into the enemies to lovers trope, but they cannot stand each other. And so yeah, they're forced to work together on some stuff, but I know for a fact that she's a witch. But I think it's cute because I think it's very modern as well too. So yeah, I liked it. I liked the cover. I liked the way it looks. I thought it was very like good witch, like white witch vibe. So I picked it up. But yeah, I thought it was cute. Like look at how cute that is. Isn't that adorable? So it's the third one. I've had this one on my shelf for a while, and those other ones that I picked up, the last two, which were like witch mythical creature vibes, but they were very much like romance heavy. This one I picked up, it's called The Manning Tree Witches by A.K. Blackmore. This one I believe feeds more into like kind of like it depicts like how women were treated in the I think yeah this the 1600s. 1643 is where it's set in puritanical England, and mind you, this is when like Oliver Cromwell was very much in power and running England at the time. And I remember taking European history, and that was one thing for me when I read this blurb on the back that mentions Oliver Cromwell, and I was like, oh, but I believe it's set around this town where it's believed to have these witches, and it's very much how the men are pitted against the women, and how the women are just really there trying to survive. But I really like this blurb. It says, Blackmore expertly wields the colorful language of Oliver Cromwell's time. Her barbs are as sharp as her observations as salty, and her observations as salty as William Shakespeare's, but with a feminist twist. A spellbinding novel, but about the unpredicted persecution of women during the witch craze in the 17th century England. I thought that was very interesting. So that was one of the reasons I picked it up. This was like right when I got back into reading. So I picked it up a couple years ago. I have the receipt in here still. So I picked it up in 2022 and I still have not read it. But this is one I really want to get to this year. I think the cover is like really nice and pretty too. It gives very much like fall, like dark Halloween vibes. I just really like it. I thought it was interesting. And I think I'm kind of like, this year I've had a weird journey with reading, in the sense of like, I feel like I don't lean as romance heavy as I thought, and I'm really excited to get into something like this because it's not too like cut and dry, not cut and dry, but like copy paste type of thing. Because I feel like romance can be like that sometimes. This was a book I picked up because I had seen it online and I was like looking for fall book recommendations, and this one was one I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was a book. And I love the movie. And yeah, the one that I picked up was Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. I didn't realize it's not that bad. It's like pretty small, but it's the 25th anniversary edition. So it's cute. Like, if you've never seen Practical Magic, it essentially follows these two sisters who their family is like cursed to fall in love. I believe that's how it's set. Yeah. For more than 200 years, the Owens women have been blamed for everything that has gone wrong in their Massachusetts town. Jillian and Sally have endured that fate as well. As children, the sisters were forever outsiders, taunted, talked about, pointed at. Their elderly aunts almost seemed to encourage the whispers of witchery with their musty home and their exotic concoctions and their crowd of black cats. But as Jillian and Sally wanted to escape, one will do so by marrying, the other by running away. But the bonds that they share will bring them back, almost as if by magic. I love that. I don't know if this is like similar to the movie. If it is, I'm gonna love that. But I love the movie. Like, my mom had me watch it when I was little, and I've been obsessed with it ever since. Like, every single year when I get the audio on TikTok, I always send my mom every single TikTok. I send them to her because I love it. And me and my mom don't live together. And so there's times where I'm like, I miss living with my mom and watching Practical Magic. And I feel like maybe if I read, I can get that magic back, that nostalgia back by reading it. So we'll see. We're going to find out. But this is another one. Even if you don't read the book, I recommend watching the movie because the movie is so good. Like, I cannot understand how people have not seen that movie. My sister has not seen that movie, and every single year, my mom and I tell her, like, you have to watch it. 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 And she never watches it. So maybe this will be the year. But I'm kind of excited to see if it's similar or different than the movie. But, I mean, the overall premise seems the same. So that's another one in there. So right now I have, like, 5 recommendations. This one... this one I picked up. I think the color scheme is just very, like, dark vibe. It kind of gives almost like a dark billionaire, like, romance vibe. And the one that it is My Dark Romeo by Parker Huntington and L.J. Shing, I believe that's how you say it. I think the cover's like so cute, but it gives very much like dark vibes. Obviously it's a romance. I believe it is a billionaire romance. I've had this one on my shelf for a while and I've been recommended it so many times. So, um, really good. I think romances are really nice for the fall because when you get into winter, everything is just like Christmas, and I think Hallmark like style romances are better than rather than something that maybe has a little bit more um like mystery to it. So yeah. But yeah, My Dark Romeo is another one. This one I also picked up because another one of her books is one that I feel like just has like all the fall vibes. But The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This one is set in an apartment, right? And the female main character, she gets this apartment and she'll like go into it, and sometimes it's set like in present time, but sometimes it's set like 7 years in the past, and there's another guy that lived in the apartment and he's in the apartment at the time. So it's almost like a time traveling apartment almost. She had another book that came out this year that was I forget what it's called, but essentially the character gets stuck in like her favorite fictional world, which is like based off of a book. So I just think her stories have a very like mystical vibe to them that is really nice for fall and like Halloween and like all of that. But it's not like scary. It's just more of like a magical vibe to it that makes you kind of feel like you're in a different world, but also like it's still kind of modern, so it still feels a little bit realistic. But yeah, The 7 Year Slip is another one. This is one I also have had for about a year, and I'm like, I really want to get to it. I just think it looks so good. But those kind of give me like fall vibes. The next one that I'm getting into, I think, is just like, it's a romance. Like, I know it's a romance. Um, I've seen stuff, and I never thought it would be a romance. And then one year I was like, oh, but it's going to be Dracula by Bram Stoker. This one I think is very fun. Obviously, like, why would you not want to read it in fall? Because it's very, like, I mean, vampires are, like, fictional, mythical creatures. So why would you not want to read about vampires in the fall? But this one I thought was interesting. Like, I found out that it's set in like letters. Like the way that it's written is from like journal entries, like letters to people, stuff like that. And that's how the story is told, between like letters to each person, from like Dracula to like his the girl he's in love with, I believe. So I thought that was interesting. But I mean, it's Dracula. Why not Dracula for the fall? You know? So why would you not want to read about a vampire in love? I mean, everybody watches Twilight, so also never read Twilight, but my sister loves it, and I watch it every fall. Um, Another one that I have picked up is Malas by Marcela Fuentes. It's set in like a border town of Texas, and it follows Lulu, but 40 years in the past, in 1951, I believe, Lulu, so it's set kind of like in the 90s, right? Or early 2000s. I can't math. Um, Lulu's family, so in 1951, Pilar believes that this old woman stole her husband. And she gets into an argument with her, and in doing so, the old woman puts a curse on Pilar's family. And so when you go to present time in the book, I guess you would say, um, Lulu is the main character that you're following, and you see her family going through like all this chaos and stuff, and it's all coming up close to like her quinceañera, and her grandmother passes away before her quinceañera, and at the funeral, this like random stranger shows up. This random stranger that shows up ends up kind of making a friendship with Lulu, and in that friendship it kind of starts to dig up some stuff from the past, and ultimately Lulu has to figure out how to go on through her go on into her future with stuff that's happened in the past. And then the other woman that Lulu makes a friendship with has to be able to let go of stuff in the past. One thing that's mentioned is that it's I saw like a little blurb, and it's a love letter to like Texas and like the Hano culture, and I feel like I'm very excited to get into that. Being from Texas, I think that's just something that like obviously like all of the stuff that's mentioned, like there's a Selena concert that she's going to, like hello. So yeah, I'm excited. I think I like when stuff is set where I'm from, and I think it also is like a really good fall vibe though too, because it's very like there's a sort of like mystery element to it, like you don't know who, like what happened, you don't know, like Lulu doesn't know what's going on. She's just young and kind of naive, trying to figure it out. So I think that's interesting, and also like it kind of gives like a coming of age story as well. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. The next one that I picked is Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This one is kind of like a horror vibe. Essentially, you find out our main character, Naomi, goes to save her cousin. Essentially, she gets like this letter, and it very much is telling her like that her like one of her family members needs help, and so she tries to go, and she's trying to like save her family member and also like save herself, but she's stuck in this like house with these people, and she believes that one of the person like at fault for capturing her cousin is her cousin's husband, who's like this like rich socialite guy. So it's very interesting. It reads almost like a horror. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, also, like, what the heck, Mexican Gothic? Why would you not want to read this one? So that's another one. Another one I picked up is I feel like fantasy is really good to read for the fall. So Divine Rivals is one that's also on my TBR. I like this one because it gives like that dark academia vibe to it, because they're essentially the main characters don't realize they're writing to each other, but they are. They have these almost like magical typewriters, and so when they're writing the typewriters, the female main character, she's writing a typewriter, and she believes she's sending this letter out to like her brother, but her brother doesn't get it. Another guy does, and the other guy that gets it is like writing her back, and they start this like almost like exchange. But you find out that she doesn't know who she's been writing. She thinks she's been writing her brother. So yeah, it's interesting that it falls into the wrong hands, and then ends up sparking this like relationship, friendship type of thing, and then you kind of go through there while there's other stuff going on in the world. I feel like escapism is very much like a fun thing for fall. So that's why I chose a fantasy as well too. Another one it's another fantasy that I picked. I like for fall. I got through most of this book, and I think it's just like a very interesting concept. And part of the reason I just haven't finished it is because I um, was reading it on my Kindle, and I lost where I was. I knew I was close to the end, but I lost where I was. But it's A Faint Inked in Blood by Daniel Jensen. The second one to this one's coming out, but I liked it. It's so good. I think it's so interesting. Essentially, you're following Feyre. Is it Feyre? It's not Feyre. It's Freya. I can't speak. You're following Freya. She's named after the witch, like Odin's wife, the witch, whatever. She's named after her, and essentially she is fated by the gods, by the Norse gods. And the one that she's fated by is like a shield wielder one. And so her power is in that. And there's a prophecy that's told that the Jarl in their area that he will determine, like, essentially him having like a shield wielder with him is gonna like make him more powerful, like a king almost. And so he takes her, like he finds out that she's that, he takes her and he forces her to marry him. And in forcing her to marry him, she is then put under the protection of his son, who she kind of grew up with a little bit. Like her dad used to work for the Jarl or whatever, so she kind of knew him a little bit. But she's under his protection too, and he's also fated by the gods. He is I forget who he's fated by, but he's fated by one of the gods, and he holds like this axe that is like a fiery axe. So she has shield. He has like this really powerful axe thing. TBR, I think, is his god that he's fated by, but or children of that god. But yeah, it's a very interesting concept. And right now, like you're kind of like the whole point is that you believe that the Jarl is the one in power. That's why he's trying to control Freya, and she's forced under his son, like protected under his son, and you see that she's slowly but surely falling in love with his son, which I know, I know, but she's forced to marry that guy. Her first husband outs her and then tries to get her like killed. And so yeah, that's the whole thing. I remember it was like but yeah. So I thought that was very interesting. I just think it was a nice like escape from reality, and I feel like Norse mythology too. This one is set like obviously like in the winter time too, so it's very like cold, and you have that like lead up going into winter, and I think that's nice too for fall. That's kind of the list of all the ones I have. I think this is a good amount. Um, I've heard nothing but great things about these books, and they all just give me fall vibes. Like, I'm not going to read about witches in April or June. Just not. I'm going to read about them in September and October. And then a lot of the other ones just give like warm, cozy vibes, as well as just kind of like an escape from reality, and that's kind of why I chose them. Um, there's a couple other books by some of the authors. Like one of the ones I want to get more into, Sylvia Moreno Garcia. She has another book called The Seventh Veil of Salome that I wanted to get into. She also has The Daughter of Dr. Monroe, or Daughter of Dr. Monroe, I believe is what it's called. Um, and I thought that was interesting, and that leans a little bit more sci-fi. Um, so I feel like those are ones like I want to get into. Um, on top of the ones that are like already here. Ashley Poston also has another one that I want to get into for the fall, and that is The Dead Romantics. I feel like that was like her first novel, like her that like really really took off, and then after that it just like all her other books have just had really good. Um, yeah, all her other books have just had really good. Um, Reviews and stuff, and I feel like they both give that like magical realism element to them, which is just so nice. Like I feel like that's what I like the most. um and then I did want to get into the rest of the Dare You to Hate Me series, the Lyndon Yu series, I believe. But yeah, and then I'm really excited for Daniel Jensen's new book. I think that was, like I said, I'm literally like 70% through A Fate Inked in Blood. And that is why I kind of picked that book. So I thought it was very interesting. But so far it's been very good. I just need to finish it, and I just haven't. But yeah, if you have any other fall recommendations, or you want to, you like some of the ones I've picked out for me to read for the rest of the fall, go ahead and let me know. And don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how you think you might approach these, because I'm a little nervous, but I need to stop. I need to stop buying them. Like, I actually need to stop buying them.